Good morning, Democrats. That's not convincing enough. Because on November 6, 2012, we re-elected Barack Obama as President of the United States. And I don't know about you, but I am fired up and ready to go. I am really excited to be here today. Many of us at the DNC do a roadshow speaking to our partners like DMO. And I remember how brutally painful it was after the 2010 elections. And it's so much better to be standing here after 2012, because not only did we re-elect Barack Obama, but we also won many Senate seats that people thought we couldn't win, like in North Dakota or Missouri or Indiana. We closed the gap in the House of Representatives, and we won Democratic mayors, state legislators, and governors all across the country. So thank you for everything you all did to make sure that that happened. Here to give greetings on behalf of our fantastic chair, the Honorable Debbie Wasserman Schultz from Florida, as well as all the officers of the DNC, especially your peers, Vice Chair R.T. Ryback, the Mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and our brand new National Secretary, Mayor Stephanie Rawlins-Blake from the City of Baltimore. What I want to do today is just kind of talk a little bit about what the DNC is going to be doing over the next several months and years, and also to end by asking for your help. We were talking about sequester a few moments ago, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about that in just a second. So because of your help and everything that we did together, the President won last November, so that means 4 more years of an administration that understands the importance of municipalities and has programs and services targeted to make sure that cities are directly involved in the administration. So whether that is creating the Office of Urban Affairs or the White House Council on Strong Cities, Strong Communities, which we all know is very instrumental in keeping cities engaged in this administration and keeping the voice of cities front and center. The Democratic National Committee will continue to be the political arm of this administration, and we will, as such, will be in charge of implementing the President's political priorities all across the country. We look forward to continue working with many of you directly from the political team, as well as the other parts of the Democratic National Committee. One of the things that we're going to be doing is honing in on supporting the President's agenda, and we're going to need your help to get that done. So unlike 501c4s, like our great organization, Organizing for Action, and I hope all of you will be engaged in, we not only can do the political work of the administration, but we are going to be laser focused on the DNC's core mission of electing Democrats up and down the ticket. Up and down the ticket. Municipal elections, mayoral elections, state legislators, governors, members of Congress, and of course, the President of the United States, we're going to continue to be laser focused on that mission because, as we heard from Mayor Becker earlier this morning, Democrats are the party of the people, and as such, we are the party that understands what's going on in communities, and so we're looking forward to working with all of you in that regard. We had a pretty good jobs report last Friday, as you just heard. Over 246,000 jobs created in the month of February. That's 3 consecutive years, 32nd consecutive months of private sector job growth, and more than 6.35 million jobs created over that period. That's pretty good news. We know that we are not out of the woods yet, but we are taking steady steps and moving on with great progress. One of the great things that the President was able to do several weeks ago in the State of the Union address was to lay out a very bold and a very aggressive agenda to make sure that we continue moving this country forward. And just to talk about a couple of those things, the President asked the Congress and all of us to work together to continue the path of LGBT equality for LGBT Americans across this country, whether it's marriage equality, whether it's what the President's done in making the military accessible to all individuals. He also called on the Congress to send to him common sense immigration reform that includes a path to citizenship for the more than 11 million people who we know are undocumented and living in this country but have been part of the fabric of America. So we've got to have common sense, comprehensive immigration reform. He called on the Congress to do something about global climate change because this is an administration that believes in science. And we all know that there's things happening in our environment right now, And by making investments in global climate change now, we can impact that immediately. So we called on Congress to send him a bill that impacts climate change. Of course, because we all believe that no person should work in this country full-time and still live below poverty, the President called on the Congress to raise the federal minimum wage to at least $9 per hour. Which we all know will impact so many lives around this country, and so hopefully the Congress will get that done. I think the final thing that I'll mention from the President was, of course, looking at the tragedies that have happened in our country, whether it's in Newtown, whether it's in Aurora, or whether it's what's happening in many of your cities right now, that we've got to do something about gun violence. And we deserve a vote. So we called on the Congress to send him gun violence prevention legislation that does something about gun violence that's happening across this country. The Republicans, for some reason, have a very short memory, and they're pretending like November didn't happen. But newsflash to them, Barack Obama won, and the vision that this president laid out won on November 6th with more than 57% of the vote. And one of the things I love to mention is that Mitt Romney lost with 47% of the vote. I'm sure the number 47 is something that he will remember for a long time. And we're gonna make sure that we are continuing to work with our partners, whether it's DMO or other organizations, to push this agenda for this president moving forward. So some of the things that the DNC are going to be laser focused on right now is we have what I like to refer to as the best data geeks in the world. When you look at the analytics of determining where voters are and what programs we should do to register new voters to expand the electorate, we're going to be working with all of our state parties, which all of you hopefully are working directly with, to make sure that the smart and that science makes it out to every one of our state parties, and that's going to impact elections up and down the ticket. We're also going to be looking at what the Republicans started in 2010, and many of them are continuing right now, which is trying to rig the votes. So since they can't win elections, what they did in 2010, more than 38 states passed some sort of regressive voter ID law or took away early voting periods, which we know impacts people who tend to vote Democrat. So we're going to continue to fight those efforts in every single state all over the country. We're really looking at what they're doing now. Their latest attempt to rig the vote is to try to change the electoral vote process, because all of a sudden now it's not fair. It's been winner take all for a long time, but since Republicans lost almost every battleground state for 2 national elections, they want to change that. So what they want to do is rig the electoral college vote in several states like Florida or Virginia, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, which is the only state that still has something moving now. Whereas instead of awarding electoral votes by winner take all, for example, the president won Pennsylvania, he got every single electoral vote. They want to try something new, and let's award it by congressional district or percentage of the vote. And even though the president got more popular vote in Pennsylvania, he would have lost the electoral college vote in Pennsylvania if this crazy proposal they're trying to move right now makes it through. So we at the DNC are going to be laser focused on that and making sure that that bill doesn't make it out, and we're going to need all of your help to make sure that happens. One of the things that we also need to make sure that happens is the administration's policies and procedures will make so much better, be so much more impactful. In fact, the craziness that's happening in Washington, D.C. would be so much better if we had a different Speaker of the House. So we're going to be working with our partners at the DCCC really closely to make sure that November of 2014, we have a very different election, and as a result, we can take the gavel out of the hand of John Boehner, because we know that's one of the things that we need to continue to promote in our agenda moving forward. So to talk about the sequester, again, we need your help on sequester, and John Podesta was exactly right. Your voices and your help in getting information out is so very critical. So every single state in our nation is going to feel the consequences of the sequester. The Republicans in Congress are saying that we are crying wolf, but we know that what's going to be hardest hit are going to be schools, seniors, children, the military, and middle-class families who are going to be hit, and vulnerable programs and things like environmental health and public health programs are going to be drastically hit. And I know that as municipal officials, those are programs that you all fund or manage, and they're going to be directly impacted by the sequester. So whereas Republicans saying that we're crying wolf, I wonder if they talk to Alderman Moore after 460 teacher jobs are going to be at risk because of the sequester, because of the way it's going to cut budgets. They're going to cut budgets from a fiscal year that started last October. We're going to make a year's worth of cuts in the next several months. So talk to Alderman Moore and ask him if the 460 teacher jobs that are at risk is crying wolf. I wonder what's going to happen if they talk to Mayor Wharton and ask about the 7,000 civilian defense jobs for people who are going to be furloughed because of the sequester. Do they think that that's crying wolf? I wonder if they talk to Mayor Lerner about what's going to be happening in the state of Florida, where 1,500 victims of domestic violence won't get the programs of support that they need, and $3.75 million is going to be cut from Meals on Wheels programs. I wonder if they think that we're crying wolf. I wonder if they talk to anybody who's from California that's going to lose $5.1 million in resources for clean air and clean water programs, if they think that Democrats are crying wolf. And I wonder if they talk to anybody who's from Texas, where 9,300 students, fewer students are going to get measles and mumps vaccines, if they think that we're crying wolf. So the sequester is going to hurt our country, and it's going to hit the most vulnerable. It is going to hit many of your cities very hard, and we need your help telling the story. What we would love to do is have many of you, if not all of you, help us by joining our communications team. We do a series of press calls where we would love to have all of you get on and talk about the effects of the sequester in your cities. Have people from your cities talking about how they are personally impacted by the sequester. This is going to be putting a real face on sequester. Getting it out of Washington, D.C., because people walk around Washington and go, oh, it doesn't look so bad here, but getting out to your communities where we know that this impact is going to be felt, and we need your help doing that. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes and would love to talk to many of you or all of you who hopefully would want to help us get this done. So we are going to continue to be committed to promoting the agenda of this president and to electing Democrats up and down the ticket. I absolutely look forward to working with your fantastic Executive Director, Barbara Moore, over the next several months. Because we know together we're going to continue building the deepest bench possible for Democrats. And I want to thank the DMO for being the Democratic voice in local politics and, more importantly, local voice of Democratic politics. So thank you very much.